Okay. Yep. Let's jump right into a end of day. Um, Euro USD during Asian session we had a break. Not Euro USD, my bad. Euro JPY we had a break of structure as session started. So I thought maybe we'd get a slight pullback, but in order for slight pullback to be valid, I was looking for the break and close above here for this to be the I bars, and we never got the break and close. I did put this M15 POI here just for the hell of it, and as you can see, the main reason we look for a break and close is because POIs just become weak, right? It's done nothing if it hasn't at least broken and closed above. So Euro JPY really nothing to follow in here, even if we did get this internal break of structure here. Still, there was no following. Yes, you could have followed the order flow here, maybe in there, but as you can see, it's just major sell-off, and by 6 o'clock it was down here. So really nothing much in Euro JPY for today. Actually, all the pairs I think except USD CAD. And then GU, obviously I wouldn't be looking for sells this deep and next to the strong swing low here. I wouldn't be looking for sells, only buys. But as you can see, we had another I pass and then another I pass here. We kept moving lower, but I'm not interested in sells at this point. And then we just broke lower and just kept pushing lower. So really nothing in there. I'm gonna come back and touch on this. This is GU. No, this is EU. This is yesterday's trade. My bad. I kept saying GU, but yeah, we have a boss, which means this is our solid swing high here, which makes the M15 bearish. Makes this bearish. Okay. Yeah, I'll see how it develops tomorrow, and just take it from there. GU is the one we have to speak about because there's actually a trade in here yesterday. I didn't do EOT yesterday, so I'm just gonna touch on this one today, and then channel it into the good trades because it was basically the same as the EU trade yesterday. I did speak on how I need to be way more focused in terms of trading similar ideas on EU and GU because they do come about, but if they happen like at the exact same time, it's really hard to keep track of them because they did happen like literally at the same time. So thought this was a valid win. And then today I was obviously still looking for buys because the swing is bullish, right? So we look for buys, more especially because we have mitigated this 4 hour, but then coming into today it was choppy, and then broke down. Once it broke below there, first with the sweep and the sweep of this 4 hour zone, I was looking for sells during New York around here 3. It's looking for sells in there. It never came back and it just continued melting lower, so nothing in there. 15-minute boss. And then USD CAD, I wanna delude myself into believing I missed out on the trade here. Not the highest of probability trades, but it's still a likely trade, right, to work out. I'll explain this one and then just touch on the GU one from yesterday. This one is more recent. I'm just choosing to do this one first for no particular reason. Okay, anyway, so USD CAD obviously swing is bullish. and then this choppy ass internal ended up being bullish today. And then if you are following the choppy air internal, this would have been a high, this would have been a breaking close there, 15 I bars, and then this would have been the low, 15 minute low in there. Even now it's an I bars, but there would have been a low in there. Now, okay, if we look at, let's do this systematically and open Notion as well, so it makes all the sense. I'm gonna add this to good setups. I think it was a decent setup for today. It was a decent setup. I don't know, man. Was I just not focused enough or what? But I just didn't see it like at all. I was looking at the chart, but I just didn't see it. A little bit weird. Okay, so it's USD CAD buy trade. It was a post swing pro internal. The setup is valid. You could have, I think the M15 would have been first priority. M15 would have been first priority because there is no chalk. You'll see. Okay, before we do the valid trade, we do want to take this whole process here, copy that, go to journal, go to good setups, open this up, open the trade thing, and then paste this. Okay, this was supposed to be done before the trade, obviously, but I'm just doing it now in hindsight. Is the overall market trend clear? Right, yes, it's bullish. This is in regards to the M15. I should have just said yes. Yes. And bullish on this end. Am I trading near major support or resistance? Technically, yes. Right, there's going to be something in here, but I would disregard whatever is in here on the M15, 4 hour, whatever, 1 hour, simply because it failed to do its job. Right, its job, this supply in here was supposed to create a new low. Since it failed to create a new low, my first assumption is that whatever is in here could give a reaction, but not enough probably to justify this high not being broken. Right, that's my first thought. So I would say no, we're not trading any near major supply demand. Any high impact news? No. Okay, internal trend is bullish, right? Internal trend is bullish. Is there a break and close? Yes, this is in regards to the internal, right? If you look here, the break and close I am referring to is this one here, right? The break solidify the bullish momentum. And then is there a chalk? Chalk is in reference to, is there a change of character before we hit the POI, which would be this whole place here. No, there is no chalk before we hit the POI, which means then we use the M15 minute direct entry, right? Valid liquidation, no, because we're not using, or rather let me say non-applicable, because we're not using 5-minute entry. And then mental checks. Okay, I didn't take this live, so there's no mental check in there. Now, was this a valid trade? Yes, clearly it's a valid trade because it meets everything that I need in regards to here. It's a valid trade. The only downside of it, I see is that it would have been looking for a trade to break the high, right? But now, how I've thought out these types of trades where this is sort of a major support or resistance, because even if it's a straight line like this or whatever, it kind of is a strong support, right? It is a mental level, it's the high, whatever the case may be, it is kind of a strong level, right? Just mentally, even though physically it didn't actually do its job of breaking the weak, actually the strong internal low makes it weak because it failed to break the strong internal low. So you would assume it's gonna get run. So what I have now figured, or I'm going to start doing actually, is targeting 2.2 right before the break, right before it breaks out. Targeting 2.2, I think that will work. If that won't work, I'm not saying it should work, but I think it's decent enough risk to reward. 1:2 is enough, right? The framework makes sense, right? The framework makes sense, and then you are also targeting before the swing high, and instead of going for the normal 3.3 target, you just go for 2.2. Simple as that. And then if you went for that 2.2, then this would have worked out. Let me take a snapshot of like everything in context. So I think this was a decent setup actually, but I guess the execution, the hesitation, the not thinking about it, not seeing it, maybe was there some hesitation in here? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure if there was hesitation in here or what, but yeah, there's a little bit, I don't know. Maybe I was not focused enough. But anyway, I think moving forward, I will take these, because that's what I'm saying. The only really bad confluence for this was the fact that you trying to take out a swing high. Typically, I don't try and take out a swing high because there is no way we rated this has to go. Like right now, it didn't go. But because we are taking a nice smaller trade, which is a simple 1:2, then look at that, you can be out before the high. If you can get 3.3 out before the high, I'd also take that. But I'm also getting 1:2 before the high, which also is good. I think makes a lot of sense. The framework makes sense. It is a valid trade. And then obviously here I want to snapshot more of the close-up of the trade. Copy image, paste here. Man, January could have already been like super duper duper great. Let's start up on this one. GBUSD could have been a super duper month already. Small adjustments, man. In this for the long game, doesn't have to be overnight. Okay, anyway, GU, this was actually yesterday, and I saw it this morning when I was analyzing it. Actually, I missed out on what ends up being a valid trade in it. So in turn, as you can see here, moves up, moves down, moves up, breaks down, up, for it to finally break here. This is a valid break of structure, which then means this is a valid low, and then this POI in here, although it's big, is a sweep POI, right? Swept the high, went down, and then broke out of there. Even though the technical high is this one, this also becomes a high, you know, but it just means that whatever is in here is good in terms of demand. And then because with this I was not looking to break the swing high, I'm good at targeting my 3.3R. Also, there wasn't any mitigation of, like, it's before this. I think this is the next zone in here. Even though this next zone really didn't do anything in there, this was probably the next target. But also being strict with the risk to reward would have given you the winner here. Simple trade as well. IBOS 15 IBOS here, comes down, comes back in. No many options on how you would want to take this one, but many options. But I think the one that should have been taken would have been M5. Let me explain. Yes, you would have set your alert here, but your alert would have been hit at 1, and at 1 is London low, right? 1 is London low, not trading during London low. I think USD CAD is the only one who ever trades during London low, because it typically does work out. At 1, you wouldn't be trading, boom, boom, boom. 2, you wouldn't be trading, it would be within here. But then after 245, you see it's starting to be in and around this area at 3. So at 3, if you wouldn't be, or just before, if you wouldn't be taking like the direct entry of this, I forgot how many percent this is, and what, 60%, whatever, I don't know. If you're not taking this entry here, right, which is the one I've got on screen, you'd have looked for an M5 minute entry, and with the M5 it would have worked out beautifully, right? Let's say 2, this is a low, does it create a high, comes down, boom, this is a high now, right? Because this is a low, high, and then the high gets swept there, which then creates your strong liquidation, and then the candle that you would have entered on would have been this one. Entry on this candle, and then 3.3 would have been way before this high even. And yeah, it would have been a great trade in and out. No hassle, man. No hassle. Easy trades. Easy, easy. You could have taken the 15 minute if you wanted, because there was no chalk, right? You could have taken the M15 if you wanted, because there is no chalk, but because of time, by the time you're looking to enter around 3, close to 3, you could have also opted in for the M5 entry. So 2 entries that would have both given you a profit. But most importantly, I think stick to one entry. Just pick one and stick to it, because if this ends up being a loser, you don't want to take 2 losses on the same idea. So I think this M5 one was clean. M5 was clean. We've had a liquidity sweep here. No, the strong liquidation would have been down here. Strong liquidation down here. Up here would have just been just an M5 sweep slash chalk, whatever you want to say. M5 sweep, M5 strong liquidation there, and then this is the entry candle. Easy stuff, man. Easy stuff. Copy image. Okay, in here you would have had GBP USD. USD type of trade would have been a pro-swing, pro-internal. Swing is bullish, internal is bullish as well at this point in time. Pro-swing, pro-internal setup, you use the LC2A. Valid trade, yes. In hindsight, yes, it ends up being a valid trade. And even if you come down and do the whole process here, which I'll do anyway, just so I'm constant with my processes, everything is documented well and nice for future reference. I know the overall, but I just want to take the M15 internal at this point here. I'm not gonna make it look pretty because as long as I understand it, it doesn't have to be pretty. M15, yeah. The Divine General Sila Maharada. Okay, come here. So you want to copy this and then just repeat the process again. Disclaimer, this should be done before taking the trade, right, to verify that it is a good trade. I'm just using this in hindsight because I already know the outcome. Yes, I know this is exactly the same as Euro USD from yesterday, by the way. Yes, bullish. No, major support resistance. No high impact news. Internal trend is bullish. So pro swing for internal. Breaking close, yes, for the internal. Is there a chalk? No. But is there a valid liquidation? Yes, because we ended up using M5 and then these are just non-applicable. Simple as that, yeah. 2 days. Okay, yeah. I am just starting to get back into the groove, so I won't kick myself way too hard. Yeah, I think come back tomorrow with a little bit more focus. Gotta take advantage of these winners, man. They count. They really count, man. When it's crunch time and the numbers have to be good, it's these winners that would be helping, right? But I'm not gonna get too upset over those. Just gonna come back in tomorrow, focus, and then start the next week off way better than we did this week. We didn't trade first 2 days. Just looked at the charts, no concentration or focus whatsoever. So yeah, see tomorrow. Today's Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow Friday. Let's see what happens, man. Peace.